Suns trying to be tops in the Western Conference. Defending champion Lakers trying to avoid that play-in thing we were just talking about. LeBron, not good to go in this one, so he's watching his team. The Lakers' chances to be in the play-in, according to BPI, 70% with a win, 91% with a loss. It helps when Anthony Davis is going to town, and he was in this game. Drummond, Davis, bucket. All right, Davis doing things. You saw him inside. Oh, nobody wants him. He'll hit that. Lakers out front by 5. Now it's a 7-point game. He's coming to town. People all up in his life still makes that 9-point game. Davis, fade away, hit. Scoring from all over the place. Double figures, 12 points in the first quarter for the first time since returning from injury. Remember, just the other night he was banged up like 3 different ways. Second quarter, Suns going to push it. Jay Crowder thinks he has something going on, but Davis, some call this cancel culture. I call it a clean block. Another look, Davis. Did he get away with something? Okay, fine, maybe he did, but still, he's tall. Now he's working on Frank Kaminsky, and that was easy. 22 points in the first half. Lakers up 12 at the break. Third quarter, 15-point game. Take a little rest and get back out there and spot up and hit a 3. Feed me. Call the fire department. Still in the third. Davis, just every part of the court making baskets. Lakers up 17. Now Davis, down deep, banging off people. Medicinal. Davis, 34 points through 3 quarters. All right, Lakers running off. 40 seconds to go. Up 120 to 110. Caruso, Davis, bucket. LeBron's into it. Huge game. Season high 42, 13 to 27 from the floor. 12 boards. Let's talk about this Lakers win.
I'm like 20% of my old self. I'm kidding. I feel good. I'm getting my legs back. I'm getting my rhythm back. Getting my steps back on both ends of the floor. So I feel good. I'm getting better each game. Getting my win back each game. So we're heading in the right direction.
Look at us. Did you know? Have any idea whatsoever? Anthony Davis, first Lakers player with 35 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists in back-to-back games since Elgin Baylor. That goes back to 1968. Get your name next to Elgin Baylor. You're doing something right.
Knicks taking on the Clippers. The Knicks are an NBA best 12-3 since April 9th, but they've lost their last 2 games. Pick it up in the second quarter. Knicks trailing by 7. And Derrick Rose had himself a contest. He's having himself a season. Been so big off the bench here, exploding to the lane, plus a foul, would hit the free throw. Then it's Rose spotting up inside the arc. Gets a 2. Next, Knicks possession. Rose driving off the glass. 9 and 10, 19.7 assists in the first half. Knicks down 1. Time winding down, same score. Julius Randle can't do it himself, so he hooks up with RJ Barrett, who's really worked on that shot. Knicks up by 2 at the break. A little over 7 minutes left in the fourth. Knicks ahead 88-83. Rose spotting up deep, distance, likes it. 25 points, 8 assists off the bench. Knicks up 8. How about Kawhi Leonard? What was he up to? Spots up there. Clippers within 6. Then it's Randle getting to the wing. This was a difficult shot right here. Julius Randle has been balling all year. Knicks back up 8. And so in Clippers possession, Leonard doing his thing, trying to keep his team in it. And they were down 6. Leonard with 29 points in this game, but New York too much. How about the moves right there by Randle? He goes for 14 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists as the Knicks beat the Clippers.
First star output from AD, who went for a season-high 42 to go with 12 boards, 5 assists, 3 blocks. He had 15 of 17 from the free throw line alone.
How much did I say that he needed to get for them to get a win?
I think you said 12.
I said 40.
No, you said 40.
I said 40. Listen,
you were right.
What I'm talking about.
You were right.
50-50.
And the Lakers get the win over the Phoenix Suns. Suns drop a full 2 games back of Utah for the best record in the league and, of course, the West. The Lakers are game back of the Trailblazers, 2 back of the Mavericks for the 5th and 6th seeds, respectively. But remember, they don't have the tiebreaker against either of those teams. So add a number, basically, to both of those. Still looking like the 7th seed for the Lakers, but This was a significant development. We welcome you into Game Time presented by Kia from our Atlanta World NBA TV headquarters and other parts of the world where Brendan is. That's Channing Frye right there.
Yes.
I'm Matt. Good to have you with us. How significant a win, Channing, is this for the Lakers considering the state of affairs in L.A. right now?
I think this is good. You always want to end the season on some on a good note, and for me, this was that Anthony Davis game, right? We had seen this in the bubble. He's the most unstoppable guy in the Western Conference. I know that sounds crazy, but at his height, at his skill set, what he can do all over the court, at the end of the game in the fourth quarter, they run the offense through him. Now, listen, you can't put a big guy on him because he could do this. And you can't put a small guy on him because if you watch in the first quarter, right, or even this right here, another big man, he's looking at a double team already. But he's just going to wait and find and be patient and find his shooters, right? You can put him all over the floor. And then right here, again, on the other side of the floor, you're just moving his spacing, and he's just big bodying, and he just got to get to his spot at the free throw line and shoot this little easy fadeaway from the paint. This guy is so dangerous when he's healthy and when he's aggressive, and the rest of the team needs to be ready to shoot like they were today. Ben McLemore right there, ready to shoot. Same with KCP. This team is dangerous, and adding Braun and adding Dennis Schroeder defensively, they are really, really good. I think tonight, at the beginning of the game, you saw them run some playoff runs, and that's what you call like a run, is where somebody goes and double teams the next best guy until the guy who you want to have the ball gets the ball. And Dario Saric got that a little bit. Frank Kaminsky had that, and they just weren't making plays. But I love the Suns fight, but this was a must-win for the Lakers, and they played like that tonight.
You know, Brendan,
Can we go back to Anthony Davis is the most dominant player in the Western Conference?
He didn't say dominant.
I did not say dominant. I said unguardable.
Unguardable. So he's more unguardable than guys like Steph, Dame,
I think in a
Luka,
playoff series.
LeBron.
I think, okay, well, let's just say this. Anthony Davis tonight, with everyone out there, is unguardable. Steph is having a crazy year. He would be up there, but at his height, you can't double team him. Who are you going to double team him with? And he doesn't just rely on threes. Now, Steph is the greatest three-point shooter. That will be the only other guy I would say is unguardable. But at his height and his skill set, he can defend 1 through 5. He can play any position on the floor. He can post up. Steph isn't a post-up guy, but he is the greatest shooter of all time.
I think I like the way you phrased it before.
Y'all clip this off for me. I'm gonna use this later on.
For who? Who else? Who else is there?
What are you working on another show?
What other shows you working on? You got to stick with the big man.
No, because when I'm right, I'm going to clip it and I'm going to send it to you. You know how we're petty like that. We send each other stuff like this.
I think the way you phrased it earlier was something about most difficult matchup in the Western Conference. I think that's maybe better than unguardable because I get your point because you bring in the defensive end as well. There's no way to really scheme your offense against Anthony Davis to take him out.
No. I mean, at the end of the day, Anthony Davis can play at 3, 4, or 5, right? I've seen him play with Jerez. I've seen him play with Marc Gasol, Drummond, Braun. And then there's no one in the Western Conference at his size and skill set that you would say, you know what, I'm comfortable with him guarding him, 90% of the time. Even tonight, he had Ayton guarding him. He had Saric guarding him. He had Kaminsky guarding him. He had Crowder. He had Mikal Bridges. And he barbecued the whole team because he just knows what to do. He faces up on small guys, and he goes to work with his handles skill set for big guys.
Pretty unguardable tonight with a season high 42 for Anthony Davis.
I'm on the phone with the Joker. He said he's the most unguardable force in the Western Conference.
Okay.
Yeah, joke. I got you. I got to go back to doing the show.
So hold on. Should we show him the championship ring that Anthony Davis got last year? About how
Joker would have one too if he played with LeBron.
Hey, he would. Hey, true that. Hey, listen.
I like when we go to prop comedy here on the show. Let's hear from Anthony Davis, who spoke to Smith.
The playoff implications tonight for both of these teams. Suns just off the pace, top the West as they battle Utah for the #1 record overall in the league. And the Lakers, of course, the top 6 are auto qualifiers in this new play-in format. Teams 7 through 10 in that play-in tournament. Lakers, if you consider the tiebreakers now that they've lost to both Dallas and Portland, they're 3 and 2 games back of those two teams respectively. A lot of ground to make up, Smitty, with just 4 regular season games left for the Lakers after tonight.
Yeah, having this win helps. But like you said, that's a lot of ground to make because of they lose the tiebreakers to the Blazers.
The Clippers appear to be set at the 3 spot, creating some space between themselves and the Nuggets. As for that play-in tournament field, though, the Lakers are now a game and a half behind the Trailblazers for 6th in the standings, and Portland has the head-to-head tiebreaker after winning on Friday. So let's flip it over and talk about the Western Conference standings with Kirk Goldsberry. And Kirk, LeBron and the Lakers currently finding themselves planted in that play-in tournament.
That's right, and it looks like it's going to be a fun play-in tournament out west. If current standings hold, that first game would feature the Lakers and the Warriors. How about that? Let's go through a chalk scenario. If the Lakers beat the Warriors, they would be our 7th seed. The Warriors wouldn't be out. They would wait the winner of the Grizzlies-Spurs. Let's say that is the Grizzlies. But let's say the Warriors win that loser leaves town match. They would earn the 8th seed, and that would set up the following bracket. The Jazz would play the Warriors, the Nuggets, Mavs, Clippers, Trailblazers, and the Suns would be rewarded for that great season with a first-round matchup against the Lakers. How tough is that? If there's one team that likes this scenario, it's the Utah Jazz. They would avoid the Lakers, the Suns, and the Clippers all the way until the Western Conference Finals, potentially.
All right, appreciate it, Kirk. Listen, ESPN's VPI likes the Clippers' path to the conference finals as well. They have a 33% chance to reach that round of the playoffs for the first time in franchise history. Still trying to make it there. Only the Jazz have a better chance at the Western Conference Finals at 60%. And obviously, as Kirk was just breaking down for us, with the Lakers slotted where they are, there's a potential matchup against the Jazz or the Phoenix. Jalen, you're always talking about we got the Jazz. Well, they might get the Lakers.
Ooh.
What do you think about those two potential matchups?
If the Jazz play the Lakers in the first round, this is a chance for Utah to send a message. They've always felt like they've been overlooked, being in that market, being one of the top teams in the Western Conference, a very well-coached team the last couple of years. If they get the Lakers in the first round, Jordan Clarkson's former team, by the way, I'm going to need to see a few games of LeBron James and Anthony Davis healthy before I pick the Lakers to win that series.
Okay.
Because we're going to start having fans back also, right? And the Utah Jazz also have one of the best home court advantages in the history of the NBA.
Is there something to catching the Lakers early before they can build that consistency?
Absolutely. That's my point exactly.
and the concern for the Lakers right now, that right ankle of LeBron James that kept him out for 6 weeks, has put him out again. That this is not going to get a lot better. He's going to have to play with discomfort in the postseason. It's not going to be till the summer. And so there's an even greater load on Anthony Davis here, but the question still remains of how effective LeBron James can be when he was back for those 2 games last week. Difficulty exploding off that ankle and making hard cuts. So he's taken more time away from it now, but Jalen's right. They're going to need him playing at optimum level to beat this Utah team.
Yes.
The Lakers are 9-15 without LeBron James on the court. They have the Suns here today. But let's talk about the Clippers. You saw ESPN's VPI. They really like their chances of making it. Are we over? We haven't talked about them too much. Obviously, they're game 2 of our matinee. But where do you think they stand right now?
Well, last year, and I jumped on the bandwagon, proved that you can't give the Clippers and their fans nice things. Like, soon as they had a press conference, we crowned them and thought that they were going to win it all. They went to the bubble and they disappointed. They were down to the Nuggets. They were up against the Nuggets, and then the Nuggets took them out. But this is a different basketball team led by Ty Lue. They're a lot more humble. And I'm going to point to a thing that happened last year. Dame Lillard missed a shot against the Clippers in the bubble. And Reggie Jackson and Paul George was teasing him about it. And full circle, Dame ended up being one of the stars of the bubble, and they ended up being one of the disappointments. So now I think that humbled them. Kawhi healthy in the playoffs with Paul George, the way he responded to flaming out in the playoffs last year. I think this Clippers team now, especially with the Lakers at the lower half of the West, are positioning themselves really well, Woj, to possibly come out of the West.
Yeah, and the Clippers are such a difficult matchup for the Portland Trailblazers. Portland has trouble guarding those big forwards, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and those Clipper guards give the Blazers trouble. Patrick Beverley, Rajon Rondo are 2 players who can match up to that Portland strength. But this Clipper team, Rajon Rondo's impact has been tremendous on this team. They played great with him. He has brought leadership, a credibility to that group that has been really helpful for them. And you mentioned Ty Lue and the job he's done. He has coached this team hard this year. They've said less. They're in great position here to make a run in their Western Conference. And they're hopeful to get Serge Ibaka back before the end of the regular season. And you've seen the DeMarcus Cousins. Listen, defensively, he's still a liability, but he will stand in that lane and take charges. And offensively, he can still command a double team and certainly pass the ball from that position.